John Huddleston, weather with Richard Scott, and sports with Gary Harris.
And good evening. We begin tonight in Montgomery, where the state legislature entered their last day of session with several big items still on the agenda. Everything from the education budget to the general fund parameters had yet to be agreed upon. WVUA's Daniel Sparkman has been covering this story all day for us, and he starts us off tonight live from Montgomery. Daniel, where do we stand at this hour?
Well, John, it's definitely turned out to be a very busy night here at the State House in Montgomery. A conference committee is still meeting at this hour trying to resolve a $184 million deficit in the state's general fund budget. Now, the holdup is that the Senate wants to make some cuts in the state's prison system, while the House of Representatives wants to make those cuts in the state Medicaid system. So lawmakers are still trying to come to some sort of resolution with that, with less than 2 hours to go before the session must end for the year tonight at midnight. We talked with Senator Gerald Allen, who says that, you know, in a tough economy like this, some tough decisions are having to be made.
Anytime that you have a downward turn in the economy, where not only here in Alabama but nationwide, the economy is suffering, and once that happens, there are some decisions must be made, and unfortunately, there have to be some cuts made.
And John, another big topic here at the legislature has been immigration. In fact, earlier this evening, protesters gathered outside of the State House as lawmakers debated an amendment to the state's immigration law. The bill changes some wording in the law and makes it required for law enforcement officers to ticket or arrest people in order to verify their citizenship. The bill has passed both houses, so now it goes to the governor for approval. And John, just about 45 minutes ago, the House of Representatives voted to approve the state's education trust fund budget. The Senate approved the bill earlier this evening, right about 6 o'clock. And in the budget, the legislators were able to save all teacher jobs. And live here in downtown Montgomery, Daniel Sparkman, WVUA News. John?
Our Daniel Sparkman starting us off tonight live in Montgomery. Daniel, many thanks to you and your crew. And as you heard Daniel say, the new education budget does not cut any teaching jobs. So why did the Tuscaloosa City School Board vote not to renew the contracts of 25 educators? According to school board member Ernestine Tucker, some of the cuts were performance related. Many of these teachers were approaching tenure status with the school system, and Tucker says they must ask the question, should they stay or should they go?
We don't want to be guilty of tenuring someone and giving them permanent status when we don't feel that they're meeting the needs of our children.
And while the job cuts were not tied to the state legislature's actions, the move the school board made regarding the new school calendar was. Alabama lawmakers recently overturned Governor Bentley's veto and passed a bill anyway that extends summer for all students. The idea is to bring in additional vacation dollars to the state. Now, as we told you last night at this time, the Tuscaloosa City School Board voted to extend the normal school day by 8 minutes to make up for the lost class time. And while that change does not seem like drastic in nature, parents and educators alike are not happy about it. WVUA's Travis Leader tells us why.
The Tuscaloosa City School Board was stuck between a rock and a hard place. And now parents are unhappy about having their kids stuck in school an extra few minutes just to compensate for the state-mandated subtraction in days.
I may answer a question in 7 minutes. The same question I'd answer on my way back to my office in 7 minutes. It'll give me a couple of extra minutes to take a couple of extra sips on my cup of coffee.
One mother says the extra time off has more negative consequences besides education.
3 months is a long time to be away from instruction. And my son's going to miss his friends. So there's that social aspect as well.
Both parents are also skeptical about how much this will help Gulf Coast tourism.
People don't have the resources to make an extra trip to the beach. If they were going to go, they would go. I don't think it's going to make anyone go any more or any longer.
Tourism is not in the best interest of education. It's in the best interest of tourism.
And some are saying state lawmakers may need to take an extended vacation from the capital city.
If you are not going to act in our best interest, we need to start looking at and for somebody that will.
This is only a trial run, though, as the law will only affect the next 2 summer breaks. Reporting in Tuscaloosa, Travis Leader, WVUA News.
And under the new schedule, no changes are planned for spring break or Thanksgiving holidays. In your Home Team Crime Watch tonight, new details on a Tuscaloosa County murder investigation. 30-year-old Tracy Grissom is facing murder charges in connection with the death of her ex-husband, Hunter Grissom. Now, court records show the couple had a history of domestic violence. They filed for divorce back in 2005, dropped the suit 2 months later, but then eventually divorced in 2010. Law enforcement officials also tell us Tracy Grissom filed charges against her ex-husband for sodomy, rape, and imprisonment in 2010. Now, officials at the Tuscaloosa County Sheriff's Office say Grissom told them she shot her ex-husband Tuesday morning at Binion Creek Boat Landing. She bonded out of jail later that day. The preliminary hearing will take place in a few weeks. Then the case will be presented to a grand jury. Of course, few details are known about the circumstances surrounding the shooting, but the couple's court history does put a spotlight on the issue of domestic violence. WVUA's Jennifer Edwards talked with some experts who told us this type of crime usually occurs at a gradual pace.
The relationship of a domestic violence victim to their abuser usually started off at a very good place. We know that most relationships don't start off with violence immediately. They usually start off with some control methods, but that may escalate into the things that we more typically identify as domestic violence.
Executive Director of Turning Point Services, Catherine Bridgers, says statistics show that a victim of domestic abuse will go back to their abuser 5 to 7 times before they sever ties completely. Paige Miller with the University of Alabama's Women's Resource Center says sometimes the victim thinks the pros of staying with an abuser outweigh the cons.
You can think of it sort of like a scale, if you're weighting a scale. You know, if you have children, if you don't have any financial means, then you may think, okay, well, I'm in an abusive relationship, but I do have a roof over my children's head. If I moved out, I may not be able to provide for my children. And so I can put up with abuse as long as my children have a home.
Bridgers says if you're the victim of abuse, it's important to get help immediately. And if you know of someone being abused, you should report it. But remember, it may not be easy.
The truth is that until that victim is ready to seek services, there's not really much that we can do except be supportive, except disseminate the information and let people know that there are alternatives, and most importantly, to give people hope that there's a way out.
According to Bridgers and Miller, domestic violence can continue once a victim leaves his or her abuser, but to remember, help is always available. Reporting in Tuscaloosa, Jennifer Edwards, WVUA News.
And for more information, in order to get help regarding domestic violence, you can find a link to the Turning Point Services website through our website, WVUATV.com, or call Turning Point at 758-0808. A Tuscaloosa man has been arrested in connection with an alleged rape. Kelvin Dwayne Crutchfield has been charged with rape and sexual abuse. At the time of the alleged incident, the victim was 9 years old and Crutchfield was 33. Crutchfield is now 41. The complaint was filed last month. And continuing now on your Crime Watch, now's your chance to help fight crime in West Alabama. Your piece of information could be the missing link investigators need to catch a suspect. Here's this week's Tuscaloosa County's Most Wanted.
Hello, my name is Ted Sexton, the Sheriff of Tuscaloosa County. Thanks to you and WVUA, we have 3 captures in this week's Tuscaloosa County's Most Wanted. Arthur Turner was arrested on the charge of robbery in the 2nd degree. Michael Eatman was arrested on the charge of attempted murder and other charges. Earl McVeigh was arrested on failure to comply with the Sex Offender Notification Act. Again, thanks to your help, that's 389 captures. Now we need your help this week in finding more of Tuscaloosa County's Most Wanted. Jeffrey L. Warren is wanted on the charge of attempted murder. He's a black male, 24 years of age, 6 foot tall, 180 pounds, with black hair and brown eyes. Last known to be living in the 500 block of 38th Place in Tuscaloosa. Mike